What's up, everybody, and welcome back to One Man's Opinion. Let's get into some spoiler talk. Okay, I don't really know where to start on this, but I'm just going to kind of go through the movie in my mind and talk about things that maybe I wasn't able to talk about in the review, and then kind of talk about how they can fix some of the issues and hopefully what we can expect going into a part two. So, number one, Reptile is dead. And that's a big loss. And I know it's the real Reptile because there's people who are thinking, well, that could have just been another member of Reptile's race, and maybe they'll bring another Reptile later. Number one, they called him by name Sazoth, I think, which is Reptile's actual name. A lot of people don't know that, and I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right, but I heard his name called in the movie. I can't remember exactly what his name is, but I knew it when I heard it, and I was like, that's the real Reptile because they called him by name. And so that was certainly Reptile. Now, maybe there's this thing where it's like Reptile's race of people have more than one heart. So when Kano pulled it out, it didn't kill him because he's got another heart or something like that. Maybe their physiology allows him to live without it or something. I don't know, but it was shocking to me that they killed Reptile off in such a finite way. Couldn't believe that. And that's disappointing because you can't really rewrite that until you start getting wonky with time, which Mortal Kombat does, but you don't want that. You don't want that for 3 or 4 movies at least. You don't want to start messing with time. You know, it sucks that Reptile's gone. Other deaths in the movie that we need to talk about, Goro's death. Goro is now gone. So when they enter the MK tournament, the actual tournament, Goro's not going to be the big bad threat at the end. Now, I know Shang Tsung always was the big bad threat at the end, but Goro was that imposing figure that no one could get by. Nobody could even get to Shang because of Goro. And so he's gone, and Liu wasn't the one who beat him. I'm not terribly upset that Liu Kang was the one, or wasn't the one that beat him, but without Goro, they're going to have to fill that gap. When they get to the tournament, somebody, a big imposing figure, is going to have to be there in Goro's stead. I know the automatic thought is Shiva or Kentaro, and it very well may be. I think more likely Shiva than Kentaro, but I also think an interesting direction that they could take it, and this is kind of one of my predictions for the future, I think Shiva is the obvious choice, but if they wanted to do something a little bit different that audiences don't expect as much, they could pull Kotal Khan in. Kotal is one of the newer additions to the MK roster. He showed up in the 10th game. And it's known that Kotal was there working for Shao Kahn as a general this whole time. He was just kind of behind the scenes and didn't participate in the tournaments. I think at one time him and Shang like butted heads and Shang might have had him like locked up in the flesh pits or something like that. But regardless, now that we know from this movie that they're willing to grab people from other games, they're not holding themselves to MK1, 2, and 3. They pulled 3D era characters into these games, into these movies rather, which I'm happy about. And so since they're willing to do that, we could have characters who were there for all the events but never showed up in the games like Kotal. We could have them show up in these movies, and that's an exciting precedent because we could have people and matchups that we might not have seen otherwise. So it would be a really interesting twist. Instead of using somebody like Shiva that everybody sees coming, still have Shiva in the movie, that's fine. But as like the big bad, the most imposing, the general that everyone has to watch out for, to pull Kotal into the movie, I think that would be really cool to see. Just something that fans wouldn't expect quite as much. But yeah, losing Goro, losing Reptile, those are big problems and not ones that you can really rewrite. Now maybe Goro survived. Maybe he could have survived, but he's still missing an arm. So are you going to give Goro like a mechanical arm, or is he going to be 3-armed Goro? I don't know. I would almost not want to see that. So I think I would rather just see somebody else fill that void. Maybe Kentaro, but I think more likely it'll be Shiva, or hopefully somebody unexpected from the newer games like Kotal would be really cool to see. Now, not everything is lost, and I think the Mileena thing can be saved. So if you're worried about Mileena, that's an easy fix. All you have to do is say Shang Tsung. If you're a fan of the games, you know that Mileena is just a clone of Katana. And in Shang Tsung's flesh pits, where he makes these clones, there are multiple Mileenas. Some that didn't work out so well, some that were incomplete, some that were more like the real Mileena that we get. And all you have to say is that Mileena was imperfect. She was a flawed Mileena. She wasn't ready to take on the role that Princess Katana currently has. The whole idea for Mileena is to replace Katana, and so you need a perfect Mileena. And so in the next movie, you could easily bring Mileena back, even at the end of the movie, as like a post-credits thing, where Shang Tsung's like, I finally done it, I've perfected Mileena, this is the one. And then you have her show up in her mask, you have her, wearing the pinkish purple colors, a more obvious Mileena, and do it better. And so Mileena can be saved, and just because Mileena died in this movie doesn't mean Mileena is gone. Also, I don't think Kano is dead. Now, I don't know how this works exactly, because Sonya got his little dragon emblem. I don't know exactly how that would work, but I don't believe that Kano is dead. She put that gnome, like, right through his eye, the laser eye, and so I think what we'll get is we'll get the classic metal piece over that eye, and Kano will still be alive. He won't have the dragon emblem. I think you were supposed to kill the other person in order to get the emblem, but maybe like she stopped his heart for a moment, but he was rescued or something like that. They could loophole and write Kano back in. Kano will be in the next movie. He will be, and I'm confident because he was such an outstanding character. He's going to be a highlight in this movie and such a big deal, such a huge character. He's going to be back in the movie. I expect toward the end of Act 1, something like that, about a third of the way through the film, Kano will walk back in the sequel. I don't think we have to worry about Kano being gone permanently. We know that Johnny Cage is coming because of the end of the movie, and they're getting ready for MK1. Liu Kang hopefully will be the focal point of that upcoming movie. It should be, because it's his time. That's why they had to write out Kung Lao, and Kung Lao's death was tough, but I also think that they could loophole Kung Lao back in. Here's how I think they'll do that. When Liu Kang beats Shang Tsung and kills him, or maybe doesn't even kill him, maybe when he beats him, as he defeats him, maybe some of the souls in Shang Tsung's like weakened state, maybe some of the souls are released through his defeat. Not all of them, obviously, but maybe some souls are released. Maybe Kung Lao's soul returns to him. So maybe at the end of the movie, a post-credit scene or something like that, we see Kung Lao return. Because Kung Lao's there for MK3 in the games, but he's not there for MK1. And I think they killed him as a way to write him out of the MK1 tournament, because that's Liu's time. That's his time to shine. Also, I expect us to get more heroes. They talked about finding more heroes. We know that Johnny Cage is coming back. I expect Stryker will be one of those heroes. And so I think a lot of the heroes from like MK3 and MK4 we will see turned around. I also don't expect that Cabal is dead. Cabal is in the suit because he was set on fire. Essentially, he's very bad burnt under that equipment. And so it wouldn't make sense. Like, if I was Cabal, the first thing I would want in that suit is that it was flame retardant. Because obviously he's not going to do well with smoke or fire. Because, he's burnt to a crisp under there anyway. And like he said, he lives in an iron lung because his lungs were so damaged. And so it would make sense for the suit to be flame retardant. So even though he passed out there, I don't expect Cabal to be dead either. And maybe we'll see a turn. Maybe they save Cabal and they kind of bring him back. They talk to him, figure out what his deal is. Because Cabal's been one of those that's been a bad guy sometimes in the games, and then sometimes he's been a good guy. So I don't think Cabal is written off either. Natara is dead. I think dead. I don't think we'll see Natara again, and Reiko is dead. I don't think we'll see them again. And I think those 3D era characters were brought in just to have more kills. They're not fan favorites. I hate it for Natara. I think she has more potential to be a good character, but they didn't even give her a line. I don't even remember her saying anything at all. And so that was kind of disappointing. Reiko is Raku, well, however you pronounce his name. Reiko is, he's a joke, and he's not a good character. So I didn't mind them just having him as a big screaming idiot. I think for the most part, a lot of their deaths aren't permanent or don't have to be permanent. And I think for the most part, they would be smart to do Mileena again, to bring Kano back. I think those would be very smart moves that I expect them to make. I think Kung Lao also will return eventually. Losing Goro and Reptile are two big losses, though, and I'm not sure how you write them back in, unless you just say Goro survived and he's missing an arm. Maybe. Reptile's gone, though. I don't know how you bring... I have no ideas how you bring Reptile back, unless you say... they have more than one heart, and that seems pretty lazy. And you don't want to undo all the deaths. Obviously, Natara and Reiko would be dead, and Kung Lao is essentially dead. He's just missing his soul. But you don't want to undo everything because you still want it to have stakes. Okay, as far as the next movie goes, here's a big plot point that I think should happen. And I don't know if people are going to like this or not, but I think it would be a very, very good idea to kill Cole in the second movie. I think Cole should absolutely die in part 2. My theory for why to bring Cole into this movie at all was always just to get Scorpion on the good guy's side faster. And so you do that by having someone that Scorpion would care about on the good guy's side. Because in the game, Scorpion works for the bad guys for a long time and then eventually figures out he's being worked over by Quan Chi and joins the good guys. But to expedite that process and get a fan favorite over to the good guy side, I think they brought Cole in. To cement that, kill Cole. And then Scorpion is... Because you've got to have some sort of motivation for Scorpion to hate Quan Chi. And since that was clearly Bi-Han that actually killed his family, it wasn't Quan Chi like it was in the games, pretending to be Bi-Han. No, that was actually Bi-Han. Quan Chi needs to be introduced in the next movie. His way in is through Scorpion. That's always been his way in. And so what I think, so you can't have Scorpion seeking revenge on Quan Chi for killing his family. I think instead what you do is you have Quan Chi kill Cole, and then Scorpion becomes a good guy for seeking revenge for Cole. Also with Bi-Han's coming back as Noob Saibot. There's no doubt when he took off his outfit when he was fighting Cole and Scorpion, there's no doubt he dropped that outfit and he was wearing all black. It was clearly a nod to Bi-Han and what's coming. You saw Shang Tsung take him back. He's going to become Bi-Han. I just hope they don't do that all through Shang Tsung. Quan Chi needs to be in these movies. They need to find a way to put Quan Chi in these movies. There were a lot of Easter eggs, including Quan Chi's amulet, or not Quan Chi's amulet, Shinnok's amulet. Katana's fans were in frame at one point. So lots of Easter eggs, a lot of nods to things coming. I think we can certainly expect Katana in the next movie. I think we expect to see a lot of other Lin Kuei. So I expect Cyrax, Sector, Smoke. I think a lot of those guys will be in here. Maybe Frost. I think we do get Kuai Liang, Sub-Zero. I expect to have a huge cast in part 2 because I think this movie is going to do really well, and I think for the majority it's going to be well received with a few gripes for a few characters here and there. So I think you're going to get a huge cast in MK2, whatever they decide to call it. I think it's going to be really cool. I think they should kill Cole though, and that's one of my big predictions. I think Cole's death would go a long way. It would also, aside from just getting Scorpion on the right track, it would do a lot to save the canon. So the longer you have Cole in these movies, the more you have to change. And I'm not saying that these movies should be verbatim exactly how they happened in the games, but I'm saying that if you stray too far from that, fans are going to start getting upset. Like if major events are changed and it's not done for good reason, with good character motivations and how they would do things as we know them. If you don't have those sort of motivations in place, you get into murky territory with these things. You need to keep characters intact as best you can. And when you introduce a character that doesn't exist in the canon into the story, the longer he's there, the more difference he is going to be responsible for as the timeline progresses. If the story goes completely different than the games, and it's all done by characters we know and love, and it makes sense for them to go that direction, I don't think fans will care. But if it goes a totally different direction because of a character that they added to begin with, you might get into a territory where fans are saying, this doesn't look anything like Mortal Kombat anymore. It's completely changed because they added this character that nobody's ever heard of. And so it's dangerous territory. And so to get the canon back in line with characters that we know, it would be a powerful death because I think Cole was a good character. I enjoyed him being there. And I don't think fans would see that coming. And so you would have a good way of getting the story back online. You would have a powerful good guy character death that not many people would expect to see coming in the second movie. And you would have a really good excuse for Scorpion getting on the good guy side a little faster. And so I think all those things lends itself to Cole needs to die in the second movie. And that way Liu Kang gets to be the hero, and, you know, Johnny Cage gets to find his way. We get more Jax on the screen, you know, that sort of thing. And we get back to characters that we know. Cole made sense for movie 1. Let's move past Cole, and let's get into MK proper. That's my thoughts. Maybe they've got a different idea. They very well may have. But I feel like Cole should die in the second movie. Also, totally unrelated, but Kung Lao definitely had the coolest fatality in the whole thing. I mean, that hat spin where he split Natara in half, that was crazy. Loved that, and I felt like it needed a mention before I close this thing out. But okay, I think I've pretty well covered everything that I wanted to cover as far as spoilers go. Look, I think that the first movie was really good. They need to fix Liu Kang. Liu Kang needs to be in the spotlight in this second movie. That is one thing that I'm 100% sure of. He's got to be. You do not want Liu Kang to be a character people don't care about. In every timeline, Liu Kang dies eventually. You need people to love Liu Kang so that that death has impact. Maybe he won't die in the movies. I don't know. Maybe it'll be another character. Maybe they go a different direction. I don't know. But Liu Kang is so important to Mortal Kombat canon. He's got to be a character people love, and he's not right now. He's not. And I know he's not because I'm a longtime fan, and I didn't like the Liu Kang we got. And my girlfriend went with me, and she watched the movie with me, and she loved Kano, and she loved Sonya, and she loved a lot of characters, but she didn't like Liu Kang. And so longtime fan didn't like him. Person who's never played a Mortal Kombat game in their life didn't like him. Liu Kang needs to be fixed. That's a major issue. Aside from that, I'm looking forward to the next one. The fighting is good. It's only going to elevate. I think they'll have more budget for the next one. I expect to see a lot of characters. I don't think that every character we'll see in the next one will be an active character. I think we'll see some behind-the-scenes characters, some guys that won't fight. So kind of like how Shang Tsung didn't actually do any fighting in this movie. I think we'll see more of that. A lot of conversation, some background, some hints, some winks and nods at coming characters and things. I think we'll see a huge cast for a lot of different characters, and we'll have a lot more characters fighting. I expect to see more of a tournament in the second one. Having said all that, I really enjoyed the movie. I hope you guys did as well. Don't forget to drop down in the comments. Let me know what you thought. Let me know if you have any predictions for the second movie. Anything I didn't cover, something maybe I forgot to mention, anything like that, let me know down in the comments. If you didn't like the movie or you didn't like what I had to say about it, don't get mad. Remember, it's just one man's opinion. Thanks.